Welcome to Whispering Cabins, where the woods are quiet, the stories are eerie, and the night whispers just for you. Settle in and listen closely. Tonight, we tell the story of the pumpkin patch that glows. No one in Maple Hollow really questioned the glow anymore. It had been there for as long as anyone could remember. A faint, golden shimmer that rose from Miller's pumpkin patch once the sun dipped below the hills. Some said it looked like hundreds of candles flickering under the soil. Others said it reminded them of fireflies gathering to dance. Whatever it was beautiful, gentle, and steady. The townsfolk had long called it the harvest light. They said it was the spirits of lost harvesters, farmers who'd worked the fields through flood and frost, watching over the crops each autumn, ensuring the pumpkins grew large and plentiful. And each October, families flocked to Miller's patch to pick their pumpkins, sip cider, and watch the soft glow hum through the fields like a lullaby. It was a tradition as old as the town itself. This year, the Whitakers went on the first weekend of October. Elliot Whitaker was 6 and bursting with excitement, darting between the rows of orange orbs while his parents trailed behind, laughing. The air smelled of cinnamon, the ground damp from a morning rain, and every pumpkin seemed to shine brighter under the setting sun. "Look, Mommy," Elliot called, stopping before a squat, lopsided pumpkin with a stem that curved like a question mark. "It's smiling at me." His mother, Lydia, smiled. "Then I think that's the one." They paid old Mr. Miller, now nearly 90 and still as spry as a man half his age, and loaded the pumpkin into their car. As they left, Elliot glanced back at the glowing patch, his eyes wide. "Do you think they're real?" he asked. "The ghost farmers?" Lydia tousled his hair. "I think the glow is nature's way of saying thank you." "Maybe that's the same thing." Elliot seemed satisfied with that answer. That night, after carving his pumpkin, a crooked grin and uneven eyes that made it all the more charming, Elliot set a little candle inside and placed it on the porch. The flame flickered gently behind the orange skin, and when Lydia kissed him goodnight, he whispered, "Good night, Jack." But sometime around midnight, Lydia woke to a faint murmuring. At first, she thought it was the wind. The trees outside often whispered when the breeze was low, their branches tapping against the windows. But this sound was closer, softer. She sat up. The house was quiet except for that low, rhythmic voice. It was coming from the porch. Pulling on her robe, she crept downstairs. The jack-o'-lantern still sat where Elliot had left it, its candle long melted to a puddle. But the glow hadn't gone out. The pumpkin itself was glowing, faintly, like the fields beyond town. And it was whispering. Lydia pressed a trembling hand against the glass door. The voice wasn't words exactly, more like the echo of one, a tone that wanted to be understood. And just for a moment, she thought she heard it clearly. "The roots remember." The words were gone as soon as she heard them. She blinked hard, rubbed her eyes, and when she looked again, the glow had faded. The porch was dark. The next morning, she tried to laugh it off. Maybe she'd been half asleep, her mind filling in nonsense. But when she came downstairs, she found Elliot sitting cross-legged before the pumpkin, his little ear pressed against it. "What are you doing, sweetheart?" she asked. He looked up with solemn eyes. "Jack told me a secret." Lydia's heart gave a soft lurch. "What kind of secret?" Elliot hesitated. "He said the ground's hungry." That day, Lydia couldn't stop thinking about it. When she picked up cider at the general store, she found Mrs. Hanlon, the mayor's wife, chatting with others near the counter. They were talking, as always, about the glow. "Have you noticed it's brighter this year?" Mrs. Hanlon said. "Like it's stronger somehow?" I drove past last night, another woman replied. It looked like the whole field was breathing. They laughed nervously, but Lydia didn't. Her stomach turned. When she got home, she stood on the porch looking out over the valley where Miller's patch lay beyond the trees. Even in daylight, she swore she could see a shimmer rising from the soil. That night, Elliot woke her again. "Mommy," he whispered, standing by her bed. His voice was trembling. "Jack's scared." She blinked herself awake. "Honey, it's just a pumpkin." Elliot shook his head. "He said the others are waking up." Before Lydia could answer, a light bloomed through the window, a soft golden glow that flickered across the curtains. She rushed to the front door. Every jack-o'-lantern on the street was glowing, not candlelight, but something deeper, like the same otherworldly pulse that came from Miller's patch. The air hummed faintly, and the pumpkins seemed almost alive, their carved faces shifting as if breathing. Elliot clutched her leg. "Mommy, they're calling." And in the distance, the fields shimmered brighter than ever. The next morning, the glow was gone, the pumpkins cool and still, but something had changed. The ground behind Miller's barn had split open overnight, a long crack running through the soil, exposing roots thick as rope. Mr. Miller swore he'd heard something moving under the dirt, something large. He died 2 days later in his sleep. That night, the glow spread beyond the fields. It reached the woods, the gardens. Even the flower beds near the Whitaker's porch began to flicker faintly, the soil breathing with that same strange rhythm. Elliot didn't sleep at all. He kept whispering, "They're not watching anymore. They're warning us." By Halloween, the entire town could feel it, the pulse beneath their feet, steady as a heartbeat. When Lydia looked out the window that night, she saw Miller's patch blazing like a sea of lanterns. The light reached up into the fog, and the ground seemed to move in waves, like something alive just beneath the surface. Then she heard it again, faint and familiar, drifting from the porch. The roots remember. The jack-o'-lantern was glowing again, brighter than ever. And as she stared into its flickering grin, Lydia finally saw what the whisper meant. Through the thin pumpkin skin, the light inside wasn't fire. It was something writhing, tendrils, fine as hair, reaching upward. Roots. They were growing from the candle wax, spreading across the tablecloth, reaching for the floorboards. Lydia grabbed Elliot and ran, heart pounding, as the porch behind them began to hum. The glow from the field swelled until the night turned gold. The earth groaned, and from deep below, something answered. When dawn came, the glow had vanished. The air was still again. The pumpkin patch lay dark and silent. Every vine withered, every gourd split open. Mr. Miller's land was declared unsafe, and the townsfolk stayed far from it. But every October since, when the nights grow cold and the leaves begin to turn, the faint glow returns, just for a moment. And if you listen closely on the breeze, you can still hear the whisper that started it all. The roots remember. Thank you for spending some time here at Whispering Cabins, where the light is low and the stories linger. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, don't forget to subscribe or share with someone who loves a gentle chill before bed. Until next time, sleep well, if the night lets you.